Johnny, how do you feel about the recent news from SEC, from Ripple? How do you see the current alt market?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm very optimistic that that kind of puts an end to the short term FUD. I would call it at this point. I think it's officially FUD on all these tokens that got listed as securities
Johnny,
recently.
how do you
And
feel
I think
about
that this is a
the
pretty
recent
much
news
this is a pretty
from
bold
SEC, from Ripple?
win for
How do you
crypto,
see the current
and it kind of
alt
makes that
market?
recent
Oh
lawsuit
yeah, I
against
mean,
a couple of these
I'm very
exchanges deeming a
optimistic
bunch
that
of these
that.
tokens securities. It kind of puts a murky outlook on, are they securities? I mean, if it took that long and then Ripple ends up winning the case, I'm pretty optimistic for the whole industry at this point. I mean, good to see the market. I mean, the market's ripping at this moment in time. So, hey, luckily my bags are packed.
Same for me. I need to admit that I've just closed the long for the Matic, which I opened for just before the announcement of new tokenomics. That was something that I was expecting for. But it is also very good news for Gameswift. I promise you guys, we didn't pay nothing to US court to get positive verdict for Ripple versus SEC case. However, this is right on time. This is right on time because the listing of Gameswift is inevitably approaching, and today we would be happy to provide you with more data, with more information about the tokenomics. So I'm not sure who is supposed to be the host and to run, but I can start. Whatever you want, guys.
Yeah, so let's start by introducing all of ourselves. So maybe Pan, a few words about yourself. Yeah, for our community, but also for those who are here for the first time, hearing the big news coming for GameSwift.
Yes, I'm very sorry for my lack of manners. Anyway, my name is Wojciech. My Twitter handle is PanParagraph. I am the CEO and founder of Gameswift. Most of you probably are knowing me from previously Starterra, which was one of the biggest products on the whole Terra blockchain, which in its peak has been the second biggest in terms of the TVL. And now we are making a big comeback. The comeback of the most vibrant Terra community is the matter of days. So happy to speak more about it, about how we respected previous holders, how we are respecting new investors, and happy to tell you more about our tokenomics.
Yeah, a few words about yourself, Johnny.
Yeah, of course. What's going on, guys? My name is Johnny, aka Hustlepedia. Is kind of like my pseudo name. I host a gaming show over on Crypto Banter, as well as I'm the founder of this thing of ours, NFT project, and an upcoming GameFi software called Nexus Gaming, which is kind of just like a project discovery sort of platform. So, been a big fan of what these guys are building at GameSwift, and it's an honor to be on this space. I know it's a huge one for the community, so. Really, thanks for having me, guys, and excited to kind of hear what's on the docket.
Yeah, and finally, Professor Farmer, our head of business development and tokenomics master.
I think Professor is still a listener while he should be a speaker, so maybe I will give a brief introduction of himself, and in the meantime you can connect to the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
now
you are right.
Now you probably can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, guys. I'm Lucas, also known as Professor Farmer. Yeah, I'm mainly dealing with business development related matters and at Gameswift, so basically relations with our partners, investors, etc. So obviously also relations with games, which are crucial for our ecosystem to flourish.
Yeah, and after these short words of introduction, I think that we can move on to the questions and the introduction of the GSWIFT token to you, our listeners. So let's start with the simple question. What is actually GSWIFT? Pan.
Yes, obviously. So GSWIFT is the native token, which is in the heart of the whole Gameswift ecosystem. The initiative of creating Gameswift came from our community, from Gameswift DAO, which is going to release it pretty soon in this month, in July. And Gameswift is falling into several very interesting trends. First of all, in the trend of gamify, this is the token strictly connected with our platform, which has 40,000 registered users, more than 85 gaming studios being our clients, and those numbers are keeping growing. The way how it is connected with the platform, it is the fees generated by the platform itself. And there are a couple of revenue streams here, whether it comes from gaming studios or for the from the gamers trading their in-game assets. This will be in 20% redistributed towards GSWIFT stakers. Another narrative is about blockchain, about modular blockchain, which is the first modular blockchain built on top of zero knowledge proof technology. So GSWIFT as a blockchain will have all the natural utilities as any other blockchain. All transaction fees will be paid in GSWIFT. GSWIFT will be needed by validators to secure the network. So there will be a necessity of the specific number of GSWIFT tokens to create and run the node and validators. Of course, stakers of this GSWIFT will be rewarded for securing the network in GSWIFT tokens. But what is our proprietary input into this tokenomics is that we tried, and I believe we've been successful with this purpose, to shape this tokenomics in the way to capture value from the whole modular blockchain. This is something what I missed in some other modular blockchains, like for example Cosmos, which is a super ecosystem, very interesting, very easy to operate, but it struggles to distribute the value towards Atom stakers. There are a lot of hubs, a lot of blockchains created in this modular and Cosmos ecosystem, but Atom has nothing to do with that. So the way how we shaped our tokenomics is that with every dApp, with every project which is entering, which is plugging into our modular blockchain, it is contributing to the value of GSWIFT. How? This is pretty simple. This is thanks to the process of shared security vault, meaning that our nodes, our validators are sharing the security with every dApp, with every blockchain, which is part of our modular ecosystem. And in exchange, they received staking rewards in the native tokens of those dApps, of those projects. What does it mean for GSWIFT stakers? It's pretty simple. Let's say that we have 10 dApps in Gameswift modular blockchain. This means that GSWIFT stakers will receive 10 different staking rewards in the form of the native tokens of those dApps. And this is creating a very interesting scaling solution with every dApp, with every project entering Gameswift modular ecosystem, the number of staking rewards are imploding. Another thing is connected with the fact that Gameswift is also about airdrops. This is something which will be released soon. What I might leak, I don't want to leak everything, but many of those projects building within Gameswift modular ecosystem are very interested in airdropping the part of their supply towards GSWIFT stakers. This is something what I really liked about Atom, and I believe this will be also part of the Gameswift modular blockchain. There are also a couple of other utilities which we plan not to mention before the listing, as our plan is to leave the best pieces of our tokenomics after the listing. What I can reveal at this point is we are starting as a GSWIFT 1.0. What does it mean? This means that we are starting as the token of the ecosystem, or as the token of the platform. And after some time, we are gradually going to be upgraded towards GSWIFT 2.0. So the token will be subject to the massive update connected with the modular blockchain. We are starting as the Omnichain token, which is based on the layer 0 technology. It will be added in liquidity to Arbitrum ecosystem and to Polygon ecosystem. This is the, let's say, effect of our experience with the Terra, where we learned that it's not worth to put all of your eggs into the one basket. So as the form of diversification, GSWIFT token will be listed on two different blockchains. Our goal is to capture the value from the community of those two very interesting ecosystems. The goal is to build our brand awareness. So once we are going to upgrade towards our own blockchain, we've been already well reputed across those communities. So that's the go-to-market strategy. Not to start from the day zero with our own blockchain, start on the other ones which are already operating, which are having a very vibrant community, and gradually upgrade towards our own blockchain. What is very interesting, GSWIFT is based on the layer 0 technology, this token itself, meaning that this is also a very interesting incentive for airdrop farmers, which are seeking for the ways of interaction with several different smart contracts, which is supposed to be part of the, let's say, airdrop eligibility for layer 0. So it is also trading GSWIFT after listing could be potentially also a very interesting way of receiving layer 0 airdrop. I think I talked too much already, so I'm ending in this point.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So you touched upon a lot of interesting aspects and great ideas about the Gameswift token, the fact that it's an Omni token, the airdrop incentives from layer 0 and the technology. In the first place, the integration with Arbitrum and Polygon. So could we maybe sum up the utility of the token once again? What are the pillars on which the value of GSWIFT is based on?
Yeah, so there are three major pillars. The first one is the blockchain itself. This is the thanks to the way that we are building our own blockchain built on zkVM. On top of that, Gameswift will contribute from every project, from every dApp building upon this modular ecosystem. Another pillar is our platform, which is multi-chain, which is operating across many different networks. And of course, we are also capturing value from some additional products, which is, for example, Gameswift Pay, but it is yet to be announced.
Great. I think that now it's clear to our listeners, but once it's so cool, we should actually ask ourselves how to get the GSWIFT token. I think that many of us is willing to get some. So could you maybe tell us a little bit more about the GSWIFT allocation opportunities?
Yes, obviously. As I told you, Gameswift is the part of the much wider ecosystem of different products, of different developers, and one of them is the Sparta DEX. This is the gamified DEX built upon Arbitrum, which is having a very interesting way of gamifying the liquidity provision towards the DEX. It is based on the ancient Greece Polis game, which is a strategy-based game, and it is connected to the DEX itself. What does it have to do with the Gameswift itself? Basically, since we are going to add our liquidity on Arbitrum, probably on SushiSwap, few days later, there will be a massive log drop campaign for every GSWIFT holder. This means that Sparta DEX itself is going to reward everyone who is going to log GSWIFT in the pair of liquidity on their DEX and reward them with the GSWIFT token. This will be very interesting opportunity for the people who have nothing to do with GSWIFT, who are, for example, interested in Sparta, since their public sale is very limited. It's on DAO Maker, but there is a very small chance of receiving substantial number of those tokens. While on the lock drop campaign, where GSWIFT will be present, the number of tokens is much higher. And don't want to reveal too much alpha, but I believe that across all of the possibilities, across all the options in this lock drop campaign, GSWIFT will be one of the best choices to choose. But actually, I figured out that your questions was not what's going to happen after the listing, but how to get GSWIFT tokens. So obviously, except from buying this after the listing, you can participate in our IDO on Sparta. It is going to happen this month, so brace yourself for this amazing event. We are going the way how to be eligible. This is public sale, so everyone is able to participate. However, there is also the whitelist phase, which is preceding which is prior to the open round, and to get whitelist for this event, you need to either be part of our most active community on Discord, which is OGs or Hunters. This is this is why it was really it was really good to be active on our Discord. But also you can have the NFT of the Sparta DEX. Every NFT holder of the Sparta DEX will be eligible for this whitelist phase. And after this phase, but it may turn out that most of the tokens will be distributed during whitelist phase. There will be the open phase. For those who will be not able to participate in our IDO on Sparta, there will be a second IDO partner, but most probably the name of this partner will be revealed tomorrow. So brace yourself for this announcement, because I believe it is really big. This will be one of the most reputed centralized exchanges with the top volume, with the top number of unique weekly visits. So please be patient, but soon you will know how to be eligible for this public sale. However, I need to admit that much more tokens will be distributed in Sparta DEX IDO. It's like 7 times higher. So the probability of getting into the sale on Sparta will be higher than on this exchange.
Makes sense. And I know you had mentioned the lock drop for the early GSWIFT stakers. Like, can you maybe go into a little bit of how that process works, and maybe for those, like, what is the lock drop and what are going to be, kind of when, where, and why does that matter, sort of thing?
Oh yes, obviously. So first we need to answer the simple question why DEXs like Sparta are incentivizing liquidity providers with the airdrop. So obviously, since you are building the DEX, you want to capture and build the total value locked, to build the TVL. So many DEXs, they are just starting their DEX and they are having some incentives for people adding the liquidity as the form of the staking rewards. Sparta DEX approach is a little bit different, meaning that instead of having very big private and seed round, which is the source of the massive inflation on the token, the source of the selling pressure, Sparta DEX decided to distribute most of their tokens in the lock drop campaign to the community. And this it works pretty simple. So everyone from the tokens listed in the lock drop, and I cannot reveal the exact names of the tokens, but I may reveal that there are only 5 of them. GSWIFT will be one of them. Those tokens will be eligible to participate in this event. What you need to do is basically take one of those tokens, for example GSWIFT, create the liquidity pair with USDC, and lock it for a certain period of time on Sparta. You will be able to choose whether to lock it for only 2 weeks, that's the minimum time, or you can go even up to 54 weeks. the longer you lock your liquidity, the higher APY, the higher number of airdrop tokens you are going to receive. So it's kind of gamified process, which is incentivizing the long-term holders. However, you can still choose the 2 weeks lockup and be happy with the airdrop, which will be smaller but still interesting. So that's the way how the process looks like, and why I'm really excited about this event is, first of all, Sparta is distributing 8% of their total supply in this process. At the same time, their IDO on the DAO maker is a very small one. It is only 1% of the total supply, so 8 times higher number of the tokens are distributed towards Lockdrop. Actually, it's 6%, so I'm very sorry for this misinformation. Now I've checked it. There is no significant number of the selling pressure from the angel round, which is only 2.5%. So basically, Lockdrop is the best chance to get into the Sparta. And what I can reveal is that when we compare the market cap, the valuation of all the other tokens participating in this Lockdrop campaign, I believe GSWIFT will be the most interesting option, as the other projects participating, like Arbitrum, like Ethereum, have much higher valuation, while receiving a very similar number of airdrop tokens. So maybe nominal number of those tokens will be not that high as, for example, Ethereum or Arbitrum, but still comparing to the market cap, this will be a very strong incentive to participate as the GSWIFT holder. Hence, I believe that there might be many people who has nothing to do with GSWIFT itself, but they are optimistic, they are crazy about Sparta, and they may decide to purchase GSWIFT, lock it with the in the LP, just for the sake of receiving SpartaDEX airdrop.
Makes sense. Really good answer as far as like elaborating into what you can disclose so far. And I believe there's some questions from the Gameswift community. One of them here I see. I think that this kind of goes into kind of the tokenomics and the lock drop, as far as there's a lot of hype around the launch, and Crypto Shadow asks, as we know from experience, the majority of projects lose momentum after launch. How do you plan to counteract this? As we are aware that community engagement is crucial, how do you intend to involve the community actively in the project, and what marketing actions are you planning?
Yes, a very, very good question. I'm happy to address that. So first of all, I would like you to give you a little bit of our background. So we are not fresh into the space. We are actually the veterans of the Terra ecosystem, where Starterra, our previous product, was one of the biggest platforms where we raised more than $30 million in all of our IDOs, having 40,000 unique KYC users. That was the massive power, but also the massive source of experience and know-how. And what we've learned is to try to build emotions, is to build the let's say momentum over the time, to not keep every single news at the time of the listing. This is something what many other products are doing, since it's leading to the kind of the pump and dump. And let's be honest with each other. This is something which also happened with Starterra. STT token started with the price of 14 cents. Our seed investors had 12 cents price. And at the time of the listing, there was the massive hype, like Binance and KuCoin, which were the only off-ramps where you could buy Lunar UST to withdraw it to the Terra blockchain and buy STT. They halted their withdrawals at the day of our listing because so many people were trying to withdraw their funds in order to purchase STT. The Terra blockchain itself was also lagging as hell. This was a clear sign that we built too much tension, too much marketing momentum at the time of the listing. It finished with the pump from 12 cents up to $6-7, which was 50x, super good for the seed investors. But this valuation was very hard to keep as the launchpad product. At the end of the day, Startera was the launchpad, very successful one, but still the launchpad. It's a limited business, which is seasonal. So it was really hard to find a way of building the token price over the time. So what we did and how we executed this experience into the Gameswift is, first of all, we created the product, which is much more ambitious. Gameswift is not the launchpad itself, it is the whole modular blockchain built on ZK EVM, which is going to capture value with every dApp building on top of that, meaning that we can expect a long-term growth, since people will be seeing the inflow of new dApps, of new projects with every day, with every month. This number will be increasing. Hence, this will be building the power of the GSWIFT token itself in the long period of time. Another thing is that to diversify, we also introduced our own first dApp, which is Gameswift Platform. This is a powerful product which we can use to promote our modular blockchain and the whole ecosystem. Another point is the tokenomics itself. So on Startera, there was a 6 months vesting for the seed investors. It was very close, very short, leading to the massive selling pressure. So what we did is, and that's the first alpha, our seed investors are subject to the 12 months cliff, meaning that in the first year of GSWIFT activity, there is no selling pressure from the seed investors. There is a private round with 6 months cliff, which is, however, it is much more smaller. It's like 3-4 times smaller than the seed round, and the number of tokens distributed in private round is very low, but it's still half a year without any unlocks. So that's the way how we are trying to avoid big selling pressure and to build momentum in the long period of time. Another thing is that there is not much of the selling pressure at the launch. 4% of the total supply is distributed towards the airdrop. That's the way of building initial liquidity, of rewarding our ex-Startera holders. And another source of the inflation comes from the public sale on Sparta and this exchange, which name I couldn't reveal. It is responsible for 1% of the total supply when it comes to Sparta, and 0.2% of the total supply on this exchange. So that's the first way. Another way is that, being completely honest, we are not distributing a lot of funds at our marketing right now. I believe that our marketing budget will be several times higher after the listing, as we don't want to keep too much, marketing power at the listing like it was the case with Startera. Our goal, we'll see how market will verify this strategy, but our goal is to give the opportunity for anyone after the listing to buy GSWIFT with the let's say moderate decent price. My dream is to basically avoid a big pump at the listing. Of course, the market will verify this purpose. There is nothing to be sure in the crypto, especially that now Ripple is crashing. All of those alts are exponentially rising. However, the strategy is to keep our alphas, our big announcements after the listing. And I think that we can also touch the base upon the rest of the tokenomics. So 45%, to be sure, yes, that's 22 plus 22. It's 44% of our total supply will be locked under governance. This is very similar to the, as you can observe, very similar to Arbitrum. So 12 months cliff for seed investors, almost half of the total supply locked forever or until the DAO will decide upon the distribution of that. So this is something which is, I think, very positive for the long-term growth of the project. There is no plan of unlocking those tokens quickly into the circulation. It is building the value of governance. the GSWIFT token. So that's another very important news, which is still not revealed, but since you came to this AMA, I can reveal those numbers. So that's 44%. One is community fund, another one is the ecosystem fund, and they are locked under governance. The team is having 14% of the total supply. All in all, it is 48 months linear vesting, so more than 4 years, with at least 1 year cliff. So not much of the selling pressure here. Another point is obviously liquidity. This is something which will be partially added into the circulation on Polygon and on Arbitrum, and some of it will be kept upon the launch of Gameswift modular blockchain. So I think we went over most of those pools. We explained how the tokens are distributed for early investors. They are mostly up under the cliff. 44% of the total supply is locked under governance. There is a 4% airdrop. 3% of that is distributed to the ex-Startera holders, 1% for the new people actively participating in Gameswift platform in the Galaxy campaign. This airdrop is 50% TGE, and the rest is under 5 months linear vesting. The catch here is that you can actually shorten this vesting from 5 months down to 0 if you lock off your TGE, all of your airdrop into the Sparta DEX lockdrop campaign. So if you are eligible for the airdrop, this is something that you could definitely consider, as you can very quickly shorten this vesting down to almost 0 or at least a couple of days maximum, while receiving Sparta DEX airdrop. The initial market cap right now, everything looks like this will be just a little bit $500,000.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this detailed explanation, Pan. And you mentioned some of them, but what measures or strategies have we implemented to discourage early investors and whales dumping tokens and manipulating the GSWIFT price in the long run? So how are you actually going to protect the interests of investors and the users of the platform and token holders?
Yes, obviously. So I think that I've already addressed this question by explaining our go-to-market strategy, and I think this should give you the clear sign of what is our game plan here. However, who is basically the whale, right? We need to specify that. Of course, some of the whales are the seed investors, right? That they are able to buy much more tokens than the average user, but they are subject to the 12 months cliff. What is going to happen after? Our experience from Startera was to be very was to be, let's say, a little bit skeptical towards investors. We made a selection. In Startera, we learned which seed investors were, kind of the diamond hands, which of them were kind of the dumpers. Of course, that's the right of every investor to take profit. However, some of them were not acting and behaving, let's say, healthy in terms of the tokenomics. So to avoid the problem of whale dumping, which you mentioned, we tried to select those investors that we already know, those who are kind of the diamond hands. Of course, at the end of the day, the market will verify this thesis, but that's another know-how, another experience which we took from Startera. So I believe that those are going to be, the major investors. The distribution in the airdrop is very moderate. There are not many of big whales from this source. It's still only 4% of the total supply. So I'm not expecting, the kind of the whale dump here. And another point is to build the long-term value towards the product. I think the events where the whale festival is existing are connected with the projects which are very short-term oriented. There are many projects which are pumping their marketing at the time of the listing, and then they are leaving the project. That's not the case with us, as we proved even 1 year after the Terra collapse. We are still here. We are here to contribute towards the long-term development of our product. And I think if I was the whale of the GSWIFT token holder, I would be very skeptical about dumping it just after the listing, or at least before, because the way how our game plan is created is that we are building the anticipation of our modular blockchain to come. This will be a massive event where at least couple of dApps will be existing at the day zero, meaning they are going to share their staking rewards with GSWIFT stakers. So in the anticipation of this event, I expect a lot of whales to build their position, because after when the modular blockchain will launch, this might be too late. I mean, the valuation might be already really high, because there will be the source of the very generous staking rewards pool here and the real yield vault. So I believe that since the project is typically long-term oriented, whales will be expecting the inflow of the new revenue streams on the platform, the inflow of the new projects building upon our modular ecosystem. So this is kind of the long-term game, which is in contrast to the typically short-term oriented mindset of many other projects.
Yeah, thanks a lot once again. You explained a lot in a very detailed manner. So we're talking about the token right here, right now, what we've achieved, our plans for the near future. But I would like to ask you, Pan, about our plans, or Gameswift's plans to expand the use cases, the utility for the token in the future. I'm sure that you have a lot of ideas on how to make this utility even more valuable. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, Kubasku, it is really hard to answer this question without revealing the alpha. Just a couple of minutes ago, I promised that I'm going to keep our best cards after the listing. So revealing this, how the token itself will be upgrading, would be not in line of what is our plan here. So obviously there is a very interesting value of how building the value of GSWIFT around Gameswift Pay, but this is the announcement that everyone unfortunately needs to wait. But there's also some other point which came to my mind, and which is also something which is kind of anti-whale dump system, and it is connected with the airdrops. As you can see, for example, there are a lot of whales in Cosmos ecosystem, a lot of whales of Atom. Why they are not dumping is mostly due to the fact that they prefer to participate in staking and expect the airdrops of upcoming projects. And I may reveal already that this will be also the case with GSWIFT. Don't want to reveal exact names of the projects which are going to contribute towards airdrop, but this will be definitely the case. So this could be a really silly decision to dump all of your GSWIFT tokens and resign from staking, because any day, anytime, there might be a snapshot of the new airdrop from Gameswift ecosystem. So that's another way of first of all avoiding selling pressure, but also of creating the utility for the token itself.
Got it. I tried to get some alpha from you, Pan, but didn't manage this time. Once again, our CMO is the winner of this battle. But till the next one, let's see. So now more of a general question. Actually, you referred to the new ETFs coming up on the market. And as we've heard recently on the market, there have been, different narratives. The positive one with the ETFs, then we had the regulatory issues between the SEC and some top crypto projects. I hope that Gameswift would get as big as those projects to have problems with the SEC, obviously. But I wanted to ask you whether Gameswift have any plans or strategies to handle any future risks like that associated with regulatory compliance?
Yes, obviously. So, although there is some recent action from the SEC against many alts, many DeFi projects, there are still a couple of ways of avoiding the risk, because it is all about risk management. And the key here is to make your protocol as much decentralized as it could be. Basically, the way of avoiding kind of the SEC action is to create this as the form of decentralized DAO software house, and this is what we do from the day zero. It is not something like that, the Gameswift Foundation and the Gameswift DAO is created months or years after the listing. It's been already created before the listing. It's already operating. It is taking responsibility for issuing the token. So technically, the token itself is issued by the Gameswift DAO, by the Gameswift Foundation. Of course, what we do as the team, we are basically a software house. We are contributing towards building the code, towards building the platform, but we are not technically managing the token itself. It is going to be governed, it is going to be managed by Gameswift DAO. So our token holders will decide upon the further development of the ecosystem, and in my opinion, that's the best way to avoid action from SEC. Of course, with the verdict like today from the U.S. court on the SEC versus Ripple case, that's a very positive news, because Ripple itself, in my opinion, if I could judge it, was one of the most centralized DeFi projects in the space. There are many other projects which are much more decentralized. Some of them were treated as the security, like for example by the SEC, like for example Atom Cosmos. In my opinion, that's a very decentralized ecosystem, and they still decided to make it a security. But now, with the verdict from the court, I believe that it is what is cooking, what is creating behind the scenes is the totally new regulation, the regulation for DeFi projects for like ours, which is very positive. Anyway, since the regulations across the world are very different, the key is decentralization, and that's exactly what our legal department decided to took care of, and I believe that GSWIFT token itself from the day zero is as much decentralized as it could be.
So to put it short, we were ready to get big, and we're not afraid of the SEC. So the DAO is our strength. Yeah, and speaking of DAOs or communities, we had another quite interesting question to the point from Adyadi, who asked us, how exactly is Gameswift planning to establish cooperation with the most prominent game studios around the globe? Because as we understand from the Gameswift products, this is actually the basic of our activities, to find game studios and involve them into our modular blockchain ecosystem. So how would we find them, and why actually would they want to work with us on that? What are the incentives, Pan?
Yes, so that's a really right on spot question, since I'm flying to Paris Ethereum CC event this month, where we are going to announce one of the biggest group of gaming studios in the world, which is controlling 120 different gaming companies in the group. And this big player which sold more than 100 million copies of their games, they are going to be our exclusive client. They are going to build on Gameswift modular blockchain, and I believe this will be a massive news coming this month to you. So this is also a perfect case study. What is our key? What is our value proposition for the projects like that? So first of all, we need to learn what are the concerns of the top gaming companies. They are basically afraid of the negative PR. They are afraid of the backlash from the community of gamers, whose education upon NFTs and blockchain space is very limited. So what they are afraid is that they are going to create FAT around blockchain integration, that this is, kind of the Ponzi scheme. They don't see a value coming from that. So to address this concern, Gameswift created the whole infrastructure, which is making blockchain integration operating underneath in the way which is invisible for the gamers. So there might be the case that one of the biggest gaming studios cooperating with Gameswift, they are going to release their projects. Those projects will have some in-game assets which are tokenized on chain, but from the perspective of gamers, they will not. They might not even see this, because they will not have to connect their MetaMask. They will not have to, pay for the gas fees. The interface will be very similar, like this that they already used to, like on Steam or the Epic Games, while they will be able to take advantage of the many interesting features connected with the blockchain infrastructure, which is first and foremost the full ownership of those in-game assets, access to the secondary trading and liquidity. So that's the first point and the first concern that we are, as one of the few in the space, are addressing, and that's why the gaming studios like the one that we are going to announce this month are so happy to cooperate with us. Another selling point is the massive value that the cooperation with the Gameswift modular blockchain gives to your game. Because what is your choice? Since you decided that, yes, I would like to build my game on blockchain, because I really appreciate the full ownership of the in-game assets, I can diversify the funding, so my gamers are also investors, so they become the advocates of this game and ambassadors. But which blockchain to choose? So most of those gaming studios are thinking about Arbitrum, thinking about Polygon, and some other blockchains. But our value proposition is, in my opinion, is even more appealing, because instead of sharing your fees on blockchain with the token holders of some other blockchains, you can build your own blockchain upon our modular ecosystem. You can have your own native currency of your gaming dApp with your own native token. All the fees will be paid to you, and you can do whatever you want with this. Meaning you can maximize your revenue, and that's the key selling point. Another thing is that you don't need to take care of the security, as it is going to be shared by our validators. Another concern that you might have is, okay, but I still need to build this blockchain. That's kind of the process. No problem. Within a couple of days, you are able to have your own hub on Gameswift modular blockchain. Of course, there are a couple of other ones like Avalanche Subnets, of course, but there you need to take care of your security. And there's another point which is, let's say, problematic with this case, because when you build your own blockchain as the game, it means even if it's on EVM, even if it's accessible from the MetaMask, that's the barrier of entry. You need to adjust the RPC network, the chain ID, before you are going to use this network on your MetaMask, and that's the barrier of entry, which is making a lot of those gaming dApps to, instead of building their own blockchain hub, to choose some other and more reputed ecosystems like Arbitrum or Polygon. But this is exactly the problem which our infrastructure is solving for those games. Because thanks to the Gameswift platform, thanks to our infrastructure, you don't need to be afraid of the barrier of entry. Your blockchain, your own gaming dedicated blockchain, will be accessible like any other major blockchain, or even better. People will not have to hold your native token on their wallet. They will not have to take care of that, because that's something which is happening underneath. Gamers will be able to deposit their fiat from the PayPal, from their debit cards, pay for whatever they want, and all the fees in your native token will happen underneath in the process which is invisible for the user. So to sum up, our value proposition is pretty simple. We are maximizing the revenue of those gaming studios. We are taking care of the whole technical development process, and we are decreasing or even eliminating, annihilating the barrier of entry for the users.
Yeah, that sounds like something the Web3 gaming industry needed indeed. Just imagine there's over 1,000 game studios in Web3 right now that are building really good games, both indie, double and triple A ones. And at some point they will ask themselves a question, and this point will be quite close in the future, like where to build our game, how to integrate it with blockchain, and at what cost. And then Gameswift will come to there and tell them, guys, this is the most scalable, the most efficient solution that's out there on the market. Plus, you get access to a user base that's ever growing thanks to this easy onboarding process. Yeah, this is something that I think appeals to Web3 natives, but will also be very easy to understand onboarding process for gamers from the traditional gaming world. So with this, I think we will move on to the last question from our community members, and it regards partially the Ripple judgment that you mentioned before today and your forecast for the old coins and in the next market. So let's assume, so first of all, I'd like to know your forecast for that. What are your expectations? Maybe Professor Farmer could take part in here too.
Yes, I think John and Professor could step in this point.
Exactly. So, Johnny, are you there with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. So, what you think about the near future of the altcoins?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes after this hype dies down. But I think that this momentum isn't just going to be one day or even 1 week's worth of momentum in the altcoin market. I kind of think I said it yesterday on the space, and man, we almost nailed it. I think there's just so much more upside than there is downside at the moment with all the negative headlines. And then we finally get the positive headline that honestly everyone's been waiting for years, right? It's always, XRP Army has been waiting for this day forever, right? For this settlement to come through. So it's, I think there's just so much more upside than downside at this point. And given the amount of times that they've tried to attack this industry and failed, I don't know. We could see a pretty interesting end of the summer here in crypto with all this bullish news. And I think liquidity is probably shifting. I think NFTs will probably take a hit as the money flows into altcoins and chasing this XRP rally, for example. I kind of see a short term, maybe like a summertime altcoin run actually potentially formulating here with all these news events. And especially it was like perfect. It's like a perfect setup because typically the money does go from like Bitcoin to Ethereum down to L1s and then into like the altcoins, like, L2s, gaming, all these different niches. And look, Bitcoin was getting all that liquidity until today, and altcoins are really rallying hard. And it's almost like a natural money flow downward, like the normal cycles. But it's driven by some of the more bullish news that we've had in quite a while. I think we could see a little bit of a continuation, but it could be pretty volatile. So if we take like a steep, XRP falls back down into the 60-cent range, I don't think that's a loss short term. I think that the liquidity will cool off, but we could have a fun end of the summer here. That's kind of my thought, and more upside than downside potential, in my opinion.
Do you share the upside point of view, Farmer?
Yeah, like in general, I would agree. Definitely, this XRP news is something I was personally waiting for when it comes to seeing some kind of shift of momentum towards altcoins. I also recon that the last time the altcoins have started to pop strongly once the bear market was over and the bull market was starting to form in 2020 at the end, it was XRP, the one which was among the first coins which started to run a lot, like 100% of something like that. So today we have like 80% of something like that on XRP. Similarly on Stellar, which is usually replicating the price action of XRP. So yeah, this is like something which gives some hope to altcoin holders. However, what I see as a problem, like when it comes to altcoins performance in upcoming weeks, is still there's like Bitcoin ETF to be approved. I personally believe that this ETF will be approved, and that would happen around August or September. And during that time, still, I think that this is Bitcoin which should be outperforming alts. So this is like the strong narrative, which probably would still favor Bitcoin in comparison to altcoins. So yeah, in general, I'm still positive. In general, like when it comes to upcoming weeks, especially towards the period of ETF approval, and I believe that this will be an approval. However, as you can, I probably think that still like more power will be in Bitcoin. So yeah, let's celebrate for now, because like currently there are a lot of good runs in altcoins. Maybe it will last for a couple of days. Maybe it'll be like a little bit like mix once. Let's see, maybe Bitcoin will be able to outperform, and then alts will manage to catch up. Still, I believe like that in general, like probably Bitcoin will be stronger. And when it comes to some more negative scenarios, I believe like this summer shouldn't be bad. So maybe some worse news might come towards in autumn, but right now we should I believe like we're to some extent more safe, let's say.
Yeah, that's good to hear, and that sounds like perfect timing for some energetic activities on the alts market. And having said that, we've heard some news. We know already that there will be an IDO of Gameswift on Startup. We also have heard about the lock drop campaign. But as Pan mentioned before, there's a whole series of very, very bullish announcements coming up in the next days and weeks for Gameswift. It seems that the timing is perfect, so I personally can't wait for the upcoming events announcements. I'm super bullish about this project myself too, and super happy to have you today here. So thanks a lot, Pan. Thanks, Johnny, for being with us and supporting us on the way, and El Professor Farmer. Guys, if you like our vision for the future of gaming, if you like what we're doing, I think that this is exactly the time to get really into the details, because the ball's rolling right now, and we want to roll it with you. So, thank you, and hope to hear you very soon.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.